is Ricky Armendariz. I am an artist, painter, printmaker, originally from El Paso, currently living in San Antonio. Growing up in El Paso, I was surrounded by folk art and contemporary art, museums, and self-taught artists. And I think that being exposed to both the high and the low, the self-taught and the educated, really filtered into my aesthetic development. When I was a kid, I remember making a plate in art class in first grade. And I remember the assignment was a Christmas assignment to make a Christmas gift for our parents. And I drew on a white plate images that were symbolic of Christmas. And at the time, I had a memory of my mother being very Catholic, and I drew the Star of David coursing across the night sky. I drew the presents that the three wise men brought. And now that I look at that plate, because my mother still has that plate, it's loaded with all of this both obvious and sort of elusive imagery, very abstracted. And so it's something that I think about a lot in terms of how I internalized that assignment and how I made it abstract even when I didn't have the language understanding abstraction. My art process is heavily influenced by both the contemporary and the process. But if I had to say if one sort of won over the other, I feel now, because I'm a little bit older and a little bit more confident about the imagery that I use, I put the conceptual idea and the theoretical ideas on the shelf. I know that they're there, they're part of my DNA. But I am firmly interested in the process and the making and the technique. My process to create my artwork starts from the block. I use 3/4 inch Baltic birch plywood. In the past, I've used lots of different kinds of materials, wood-based materials, and that is the initial substrate, okay? I proceed to draw on the substrate, the wood, my imagery. After drawing the imagery, I later carve with power tools into the plywood block. You know, thinking about where my aesthetic comes from, where it's a combination of traditional and non-traditional methods of both making and inspiration for the artwork. It goes back to those initial memories of having artwork that is high art and low art on the walls of my house. I think my aesthetic eye was shaped at that early age. And I listened to many interviews of self-taught artists, people who have artistic strategies that are different than academics, that make movements based on conceptual ideas or art precedent. And I became very interested in this idea of making artwork from a very personal place. And so I'm always looking for ways in which to subvert and undermine traditional methods of working.